Would you trade your manager for a chatbot? Beat.
Oh.
15% of people just said yes.
I mean, that statistic honestly blew my mind today. It kind of forces you to rethink your daily grind.
Welcome to today's deep dives into the near future. We're unpacking a massive technological collision happening right now. It's the explosive clash between AI scale and human control.
You really can't escape this underlying tension anywhere you look. It's literally reshaping how you work, think, and live.
We're going to trace this narrative from the very top.
Mhm.
You'll see a bitter tech grudge match between two titans.
Yeah, the incredibly high stakes there dictate everything downstream. The Wall Street Journal just dropped a genuinely bombshell report. It details a vicious feud shaking Silicon Valley apart.
We're talking about Sam Altman directly fighting Dario Amodei. It's way more personal than anyone previously realized.
Right, most of you probably know Anthropic was an OpenAI spinoff, but the actual breaking point is genuinely shocking.
Dario left over a very specific, terrifying corporate proposal. OpenAI was allegedly considering selling AGI access to foreign adversaries.
Exactly. That explicitly included licensing god-tier tech to Russia and China. Dario called that move borderline treasonous at the time. That was the definitive moment he walked out.
He fundamentally disagreed with treating AGI as pure global commerce. You can't just sell global digital dominance to the highest bidder.
Right, because giving adversarial nations superintelligence alters geopolitical reality completely. He felt it was an existential threat to all humanity.
It feels exactly like a privatized Cold War space race. But this one is fueled by deeply personal grievances.
And giant egos, yeah. The escalations just went totally global this year. Anthropic actually ran massive Super Bowl ads a few months ago. They took direct shots at OpenAI's pivot to aggressive advertising.
They wanted to highlight their strict focus on AI safety. Sam Altman definitely didn't blink at the public provocation. He just publicly called Anthropic clearly dishonest on a global stage.
Then you have the highly controversial military defense clash recently. Anthropic walked away from a highly lucrative U.S. defense contract. They cited strict internal safety protocols for rejecting that money.
OpenAI signed that exact same defense deal hours later. It's a ruthless contrast in their core corporate operating principles.
Now the federal government is threatening to blacklist Anthropic completely. They're officially labeling Dario's company a severe supply chain risk. The government wants AI weapons, and Anthropic refuses to build them.
They genuinely can't stand each other on a personal level. At a recent global summit, they entirely refused to make eye contact.
They just ignored each other while the other CEOs mingled. Their underlying business strategies are also completely opposed today. Dario is heavily betting his entire company on safe scale.
What does safe scale actually mean for the average daily user?
A framework where the AI constantly verifies its own safety. It checks every answer against a safety charter before printing.
We saw recent internal leaks of their new Claude Mythos model. It shows a system miles ahead of any current competitor.
But it's prohibitively expensive to actually run that architecture. The computing power required for that deep safety logic is immense. Pro users hit severe rate limits almost instantly upon logging in.
You get 10 brilliant answers, and then you're totally locked out.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Sam Altman is completely winning the mass distribution game. He relies on pure market momentum and ubiquitous access. Dario holds the ethical principles, but Sam firmly holds the market.
Can responsible AI actually survive sheer, overwhelming market momentum?
Honestly, I doubt it in the long run. Market dominance usually crushes strict ethical friction almost instantly. When safety limits usage, frustrated consumers just switch apps. Fast deployment almost always wins the corporate revenue race.
Right. Ethics usually lose out to raw speed and mass profit.
Yeah, but Sam's strategy of deploying everywhere has a massive vulnerability. It requires a staggering amount of physical computing power to maintain.
You absolutely need massive server farms and highly reliable software logic. You can't distribute AI globally without owning the underlying silicon. Currently, these massive systems are seriously struggling on both fronts.
Mistral just locked in $830 million in fresh funding. That money buys sprawling Nvidia-powered data centers immediately for their models.
Europe is finally fighting back against U.S. cloud computing dominance. They genuinely want to control their own technological destiny moving forward.
They're building a sovereign cloud to keep European data strictly inside. Relying entirely on American servers is a massive strategic vulnerability.
Yeah, and then you have rebellions entering the global chat too. They're a highly ambitious startup making aggressive moves right now.
Mhm.
They just raised $400 million for a massive hardware expansion.
They want to push their AI inference chips into everyday data centers.
What exactly are inference chips in this specific hardware context?
Specialized hardware built to run AI models fast after training.
They're hoping to directly challenge Nvidia's market-choking global monopoly. But there are serious physical reliability issues popping up everywhere.
Look at DeepSeek's massive viral debut back in 2025. Just yesterday, they suffered a crippling global server blackout.
The entire system went completely dark for over 7 hours straight.
Rumors are flying wildly across the entire tech industry right now. People are wondering, was it a next-gen model loading or a literal server melt? When millions of users hit an API simultaneously, physical things break.
The physical heat generated by these GPUs simply overwhelms the liquid cooling. The thermal heat load on these massive server farms is genuinely terrifying.
Physical hardware is honestly only half of the current digital battle. We also have to look closely at underlying software stability.
Let's talk about the concept of context rot in Claude systems. How does this impact how you interact with these tools daily?
Well, it degrades the more you explain complex, nuanced things to it. It acts exactly like a high-speed digital game of telephone.
What exactly is context rot in plain English for everyone?
A model for getting earlier instructions as a conversation gets longer.
I still wrestle with prompt drift myself. 2-sec silence. You think you're being clear, then it just wanders off completely.
Yeah, every time you add a new detail, the attention fractures. The neural network mathematically loses track of the original core prompt. Its limited attention headspace simply gets way too crowded. The final output just gets warped, confused, and entirely unhelpful.
Software engineers are now relying on strict compacting techniques to fix this. How do these new compacting techniques actually solve the rot problem?
They actively strip out conversational filler and redundant background tokens constantly. This preserves the limited working memory for the actual core instructions. It forces the system to only look at the most vital tasks.
Will Europe's massive hardware push genuinely dethrone OpenAI's market dominance?
Not immediately, no. Money buys shiny new servers, but OpenAI holds deep software moats. Shifting your entire developer ecosystem is incredibly painful. Throwing cash at hardware doesn't change daily habits instantly.
Yeah. Throwing money at hardware cannot buy developer loyalty instantly.
Exactly. It takes a lot more than just physical infrastructure, you know?
Let's move out of the corporate lab and into the real world. Hardware bottlenecks and context rot dictate what reaches your personal laptop.
These models are actively leaking out into the wild right now. They're talking to humans, and increasingly they're talking to each other.
You're going to see this in your own workspace very soon.
Yeah.
Take Microsoft Copilot Cowork as a perfect example of this shift.
This specific new feature is absolutely wild to watch in real time. It uses adversarial networks to mimic a real human review process. GPT actually plans out your entire complex project structure from scratch.
It writes the initial code and sets the overall foundational logic. Then Claude steps in and aggressively critiques that exact same plan.
They actively debate each other inside your Copilot software environment. It's exactly like having two brilliant, argumentative employees living inside your laptop. One AI generates the work, and the other AI tries to break it.
You don't write the plan anymore, you just mediate their argument. We also have the brand new Notion MCP update rolling out.
This connects ChatGPT, Claude, and Cursor directly to your central workspace. They have real-time read and write access to all your company documents. They can edit your company wikis without ever asking for human permission.
The smaller daily life tools are also evolving incredibly fast today. Look at PopTask living quietly right in your macOS menu bar.
It captures messy, natural language task inputs instantly for you. You also have goals, turning vague daily ambition into clear, actionable plans. It gives you one specific step-by-step daily action to follow.
It breaks down overwhelming life projects into tiny, digestible daily bites. Even legacy software like FreeCAD got major AI quality of life updates recently.
They finally added transparent visual previews and highly interactive assembly draggers. Google is also pushing Live Translate directly to all iOS devices. You get a real-time digital interpreter for over 70 different languages.
It works seamlessly on literally any pair of standard Bluetooth headphones. You can walk through Tokyo and instantly understand every single street conversation.
But we absolutely have to talk about the viral Gwindex project. It perfectly illustrates how autonomous agents alter physical world economies.
A guy used autonomous AI voice agents for a fun weekend project. He had them independently call 3,000 different pubs across the country. They relentlessly called local bartenders just to track daily Guinness beer prices.
The AI agents gathered all that data into a massive public spreadsheet. It created perfect, undeniable market transparency for the average pub drinker.
Whoa, beat. Imagine scaling to 1 billion queries. The crazy part is it actively caused pubs to lower their prices.
They saw the transparent public data and suddenly had to compete fiercely. Local pubs couldn't hide their aggressive price gouging from thirsty customers anymore. The AI forced real-world market corrections almost overnight through sheer persistence.
What are the implications of AI models debating each other to finalize our work?
It completely shifts our fundamental role in the modern digital economy. We go from being active creators to being the final judges. You just sit back and referee automated machine arguments all day long. You're no longer the writer, you're just the weary editor.
Wow. Humans just become tired referees for arguing software algorithms.
Yeah, it's a profound shift in how we actually spend our days.
Those autonomous agents aren't just calling local pubs anymore. They're fundamentally restructuring human employment and the concept of modern management.
We're seeing a rapid, aggressive shift in how corporate labor functions. There's a fascinating new academic paper on the unbundling of jobs. It looks closely at what economists call weak bundle corporate roles.
What exactly makes a specific job a weak bundle role in this context?
Jobs made of easily separated, repetitive, daily administrative tasks. Think of a data entry clerk who also answers the main phones.
They don't require deep, continuous critical thinking or genuine human connection. These jobs are being actively hollowed out into much lower-paid chunks.
It's exactly like breaking down a complex organism into individual cells. You isolate the easy daily tasks and automate them one by one. And then you feed those isolated data cells directly to an algorithm.
The human worker is just left with only the most complex scraps. This brings us right back to our provocative opening hook today. A recent Quinnipiac poll revealed a genuinely shocking new workplace statistic.
15% of all Americans are totally ready for an AI boss. They'd happily trade their flawed human manager for a conversational chatbot.
That growing public sentiment is driving what is being called the Great Flattening. The underlying infrastructure for the AI boss is actually already here today.
Workday just launched a whole suite of autonomous digital management agents. They effortlessly handle the deeply boring parts of being a corporate boss. They approve employee expenses and schedule shifts without a human ever touching it.
Look at what is actively happening over at Amazon right now. They fully deployed AI workflows to handle incredibly complex shipping logistics.
That routing work used to require thick, expensive layers of middle management. Thousands of those specific human manager roles were recently completely cut. The algorithm just routes the packages far faster than any human could.
Uber engineers took this exact automated concept even further recently. They built a custom AI twin of their CEO, Dario.
It actively screens internal employee pitches before human executives ever see them. Imagine you're a junior engineer pitching a brilliant new feature idea. The AI twin reads your document and checks it against corporate budgets instantly.
It decides your ultimate corporate fate in a fraction of a second. If the bot rejects your idea, you get absolutely zero human time.
The public sentiment around all this automation is a complicated mixed bag. 70% fear AI will drastically shrink the overall human job market. But 30% are quietly worried their own managerial seat is warm.
They know their daily administrative tasks could easily be unbundled tomorrow. An AI boss honestly has zero fragile human ego to manage daily.
It has absolutely zero interest in playing toxic, draining office politics. It also has a perfect, flawless memory for your annual vacation requests. You never have to remind a bot that you're taking Friday off.
It just approves the request and instantly updates the master company schedule. It actively tracks every keystroke to build a perfect, unemotional performance matrix.
But the massive, unavoidable trade-off here is basic human empathy. You can't negotiate with a rigid algorithmic script when real life gets messy. When you have a sudden family emergency, a bot simply doesn't care.
It only sees the raw, cold optimization of the quarterly productivity schedule. It completely lacks the human grace to tell you to just go home.
Right, a machine cannot understand the nuance of human burnout at all.
Is killing pointless meetings worth that total loss of basic human empathy?
Probably not. Peak efficiency is genuinely great for corporate profit margins and shareholders, but human grace is what keeps a stressful workplace from becoming a dystopia. You absolutely need a manager who understands when you're just having a terrible day.
True. Total efficiency risks creating a cold, dystopian corporate workplace.
It's a balance we haven't quite figured out how to strike yet.
Let's bring all of these distinct, heavy concepts together right now. We've covered a truly staggering amount of ground in today's deep dive.
We really have. We went from the very top to the absolute bottom today. It's all deeply, fundamentally connected when you look at the bigger picture.
It starts with that $600 billion macro feud at the very top. Sam Altman and Dario Amodei are fighting fiercely over global geopolitical safety.
That specific ideological feud trickles down directly into the hardware supply chain. It dictates the software limits and the escalating global data center wars.
We see debating co-pilot agents invading our personal digital workspaces daily.
All the way down to the granular micro-level daily human impact. We're facing a near future with an AI boss managing human workers.
The main through line here is massive and deeply consequential for you. This is a giant real-time beta experiment on our modern human society.
We're actively deciding who controls the future of logic and human labor. The tools are being built far faster than we can actually adapt.
It's happening right in front of us every single day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the unknown.
It's a lot of heavy information to process, but it's incredibly important. Staying informed is your best defense in a rapidly shifting global economy.
We appreciate you taking the time to explore this complex web with us. An AI boss might completely eliminate office politics and friction entirely. But here's a final question to leave you with today. Do we accidentally eliminate the human friction that sparks innovation? Out to Yoro music.